Welcome back to Unauthorized Opinions. The guest today for Canada Day is Mocha Bezirgan of Media Bezirgan, of Abdus Salem Bezirgan, of Alberta, of Tesla Industries. How are you, Mocha? How you been? It's been, I don't know. The exact same point, I feel like.
Yeah. It should be fine now. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. You're up to so much. You're fighting the good fight. And for this Canada Day, I wanted to have you on to get sort of a State of the Union address at what we think the biggest issues are in the country right now. And I think you're addressing consistently what one of them is, and that is a cultural. Well, there's definitely a cultural battle between two different cultures that aren't from here, but it's a battle overall of the country's identity. And you've been tracking a clash between, what would you describe the two parties as that you've been covering most recently?
Well, I've been covering the Khalistanis, right? And they are very active in politics, involved both in conservative and liberal parties. I don't have to mention the NDP.
Hey.
Hello, apologies. What happened is my phone overheated.
Oh my goodness.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It was doing a weird thing too with the sound. It sounds better now, I think.
Okay, good.
So yeah, based on a lot of your research and reporting that I saw, that is a huge story I don't think anybody else covers, is that one of the top conservatives in the Conservative Party of Canada actually lives on the same property of a guy accused of, or were you saying he was charged for smuggling cocaine?
He was charged with cocaine trafficking, among other charges, in 2014, while around the same time, Tim Upal was donating from the same residential address to the Conservative Party. He was donating like $4,500. That's a lot of money from an address associated with his brother, who was at the time charged with cocaine trafficking. And another, if I may add, I forgot to include this detail. Another individual involved within the family was Tim Upal's wife,
Right.
Ann Binder. She's a former World Sikh Organization executive. And at the time, she was working as a lawyer for Department of Justice of Canada. So this bears the question: has she interfered with the administration of justice to get these charges off of her brother-in-law?
Mocha, a lot of people ask me from the United States about the amount of immigration of, Indians into this country, and if it's as bad as they say it is. Now, I don't see as many of the protests out here, but out west where you are, there are such a large population of immigrants from India that not only are they everywhere, which isn't inherently a bad thing, but I think it's a problem when a different culture from one country is just imported en masse into a different country, no matter where it is. But it's also bringing these complex and really, I think, easy to pinpoint as bad political conflicts. So is it your estimation or your belief that this is one side that has managed to infiltrate the Conservative Party and get preferential treatment? Is that your opinion?
Absolutely. The Khalistani lobby is very powerful, very well connected, both within the conservatives and the liberals. And there appears to be an overrepresentation in the media of high-level drug smuggling and drug trafficking, there's always a sing involved. Why? When it comes to, for example, international students protesting, it's not international students protesting, it's Punjabi students, it's Sikh students protesting. Who brought them here? Who made their families sold every property they owned in India with the lie that they could live a better life in Canada? Better life is not working at Tim Hortons, taking up entry-level jobs from young kids and working there professionally. This is not the Canadian dream. The Canadian dream can't be living miserably, making little money, not being able to afford a home, risking deportation, working under the table, less than minimum wage, studying at a, what is it called, a diploma mill university.
Yeah.
You know, having to pay for LMIA, which is illegal to sell. Like, that's not the Canadian dream. What, you're gonna come here and live in a basement with 5 other people and not being able to save any money? Well, so what happens? What happens is some students, they become assassins, they become drug traffickers, they become carriers. They are used, abused, and thrown away by their own people, by the way.
Now, have you come across the argument? Yeah, by their own people is a big part of it too. Have you come across the argument of, it's a typical one where somebody will say our economy needs this and our infrastructure needs it. The prices of apples will go up. This is something I talk about a lot on the show. You come across this argument where people say, no, we need this many people?
I have not come across such people arguing that. I think that argument is dead. I think less and less. You know what I mean? People are no longer arguing that anymore. I think slowly people are realizing, yeah, mass immigration is not a good thing. It is driving up housing costs. It is driving down wages, you know. And Pierre Poilievre, his solution during the election was, well, we need to build more homes. We need to make immigration easier, faster. We need direct flights from Punjab's capital, Amritsar, which is another concern. Justin Trudeau also made the same pledge 10 years ago, but he did not follow through. Well, probably it's very risky. Direct flights from Amritsar means easier cocaine trafficking, easier fentanyl trafficking. Punjab is next to Pakistan. Pakistan is a notorious hub for drugs, narcotics, and Punjab, most of the population, like almost every household, has a addict, addicted to serious drugs. And when you are having direct flights, not only you are bringing demand for drugs, but you're also making it easier to traffic it, because when it's a direct flight, it has to go through the Punjab security, and then it has to go through Punjab security in Canada. Now, you know what I mean? In Australia, for example, recent example, the Australian Federal Police busted a drug trafficking ring from Canada to Australia. So they were trafficking cocaine from Vancouver to Australia, and the way they operated, they had insider knowledge from trusted insiders. Who are trusted insiders? Well, they are people with the knowledge who know when the police patrol is going to happen, which containers the police will check, or which areas, what time, which personnel works where, etc. Trusted insiders. Those include security guards, family members of security guards, truckers who have access to sensitive areas like this. And we have a lot of them in Canada.
I think everybody's noticed a weird racial inclusion with people from that part of the world. Now, with your coverage that you've done, can you sort of go over some of the backlash that you've gotten, whether it's been threats or criticisms? I know that there's a lot of comments on your content saying that you're paid by India, of course, which makes no sense because also Indian outlets are taking your content. Can you sort of go over the both
Right.
the any threats or pressure people have put on you, and also address the content stealing that you've gone through as well?
Right. Yeah. Basically, the Khalistanis, they're they are a little bit extremists. So they would glorify suicide bombers. They would glorify assassins who killed Indira Gandhi, India's prime minister, and then they would confront me and say, "How dare you refer to us as extremists?" And then they would prove my point by basically trying to ambush me in Vancouver for an interview. And I published my video about this. So there's this individual who has made threats against me before and plotted vigilante action. He was saying, oh, if our CMP is not stopping him, then we need to take our own measures. And so he tried to take his own measures. What did he do? Well, he confronted me, and it is really disgusting for someone to use the excuse of journalism to ambush someone. You know what I mean? He is like, "Can I interview you?" And he's being uh, with a calm tone, and I'm like, "Yeah, sure. You can interview me right now, right here." He's like, "No, can we go to a quiet corner?" I'm like, "No, because I don't trust you. You've threatened me before, and you have used dehumanizing language about me. Saying things like, 'Oh, these parasites, they need to be dumped to an offshore.' You know what I mean?"
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "But it's very loud here. Let me just interview you. Let's go." So he's like insisting like for 20 times for like very long time, and I keep saying, "No, just do it right here." And I haven't seen this guy interview one soul ever. I'm aware of him for a year. I have not seen him interview anyone on the street ever. And he doesn't have a camera. He doesn't have any press credentials with him. He doesn't have a microphone. You know what I mean?
Just
And no
come into
history.
an alley with me.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, "No, because you have threatened before, and I'm not going anywhere. If you're gonna interview me, do it right now." So he pulls up his phone and starts asking questions with like loaded questions with lots of defamatory commentary in it, where I have to first take that apart before I can even respond. But before I can even begin my sentence, he starts asking another. You know what I mean? It's not an interview. It is like I don't know what it was, but it was not an interview. Anyway, then he started to walk up to my face. Right? He's becoming aggressive. Then he put his phone away after like maybe 30 seconds or a minute. So it's not even a fucking, excuse my language, it's not even an interview anymore. So I knew like this is a lie. He didn't want to interview me in a quiet little corner, because then four of his buddies in groups of two watching us from a distance, they start advancing. And I'm trying to get away from this freak. I'm like, he keeps getting to my face. I'm like, keep your distance, buddy. And he's like, "If you touch me, it will be your last. I can tell you're terrified. I can tell you're scared." You know what I mean? Like this attitude. And I'm trying to walk towards the police, trying to get away from this freak. And his buddies, they cut my path, and they're like, "So you're talking about Sikh extremism, huh? Now what you gonna do, buddy, huh?" Like this. And two of them were wearing the terrorist entity Babar Khalsa's insignia. So I'm being ambushed by gangsters, terrorists. And by the way, this individual who tried to ambush me, he's not even a Canadian citizen. And he's allowed to um, exercise his foreign interference on Canadian soil against a Canadian citizen doing citizen journalism. And after, I pull out my other camera. Now, this fool, he thought I was not recording, but I was recording the whole thing from my DSLR camera. But to get a better view, I pull out my phone to get their faces, the gangster, the terrorists. and they all turn away and they disappeared. I've never seen them again. They left the event, and to attract my attention away from them, he taps me and pushes me from my neck, and I turn around and tell him, "Don't touch me," and he keeps walking to my face and acting like nothing happened, acting, trying to gaslight, rewrite history, and the police notices it, and police comes, and the moment the police comes, he grabs my phone out of my hand momentarily and disrupts the recording. So then he lies to the police, says, "Oh no, nobody surrounded you. No, I didn't touch your phone," like this. And it is very disgusting, very dangerous, when you're dealing with such liars, trying to ambush you to a quiet corner with four other people, two of them terrorists, wearing a, I'm assuming they're terrorists since they're wearing a terrorist entity's insignia, Babar Khalsa, which is responsible for bombings, assassinations, and narcotics trafficking. In any event,
what are their political views? Because their tactics are certainly really far left wing.
their political views are, we're going to get what we want, and anyone who stands on our way, even they are innocent, it's the cost of freedom. It's the cost of our goal, higher goal, establishment of Khalistan.
So this is a very like Middle Eastern type. Like there's not much behind it other than we want like our territory sort of thing.
Yes, yes, they want to establish their own country in India, Punjab. Their agenda is foreign, but because they have been domesticated, they have become Canadian. What they're doing is not considered foreign interference. I'm just gonna place an order. Just one second. Can I please get a deluxe chicken sandwich with fries and peach milkshake?
Anything else?
That's all. Thank you.
Any sauce?
No, that's fine.
And the name for your order?
Mocha.
This is an unauthorized opinions first, a mid-episode drive-through order.
68.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Appreciate
You
it.
just keep pulling down this.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
What place is this? What store is that?
Chick-fil-A.
Oh, Chick-fil-A, nice. Yeah, I didn't recognize why it was all at the one window like that. That's an interesting side quest that we just went on there. So if that's all that they're like, why are they complaining about this in Canada though? Like, why? If I was in Iceland, I wouldn't just be like flooding the streets saying, Mark Carney's got to go. Like, what purpose does that serve to them? Do you think?
Well, they can't advocate for separatism and terrorism in India because they would be arrested. You know what I mean? So Canada serves as a safe haven, and CSIS, although it's a very disreputable institution, they released a statement recently saying, yeah, Khalistani extremists are using Canada as a base to fundraise and plot terrorism in India. And it is a concern for national security of Canada.
Yeah, I feel like Canada has been used that way for a long time as a, I don't know, a funnel or just a place where people conduct criminal activity. We've heard rumors for a long time that it was a lot of, banking fraud going on in Canada and, moving around money to support terrorism because it's generally, I guess not watched that closely. And now I think with involving so many people and so many institutions, because of the mass amount of people there, that's probably gotten a lot easier to hide it, hence the drug smuggling you mentioned. Now, do you want to touch on how your content has been taken? Because that, again, That's another big story, and that I think is something that a lot of people don't go through. They see somebody take their video, and they'll use the excuse of, oh, I'm spreading your content, and then somebody on the other side will just ask to be tagged. I think it's very foolish. You're losing money on that. So how large of organizations have been taking your content, allegedly, Your Honor, and What's happened with that? What?
Okay, so
Yeah,
I do not tolerate such transgression. What's the term? Transgression? No. Uh, Let me repeat this.
transgressions.
Please
Yeah.
cut this part out. Transgression, right? Okay. Now, I do not tolerate such transgression. Zero tolerance for copyright infringement because I'm out there risking my life, spending money. You know what I mean? It is my video. I captured it. I own it. And I put a watermark on it. And I put a disclaimer saying this footage is registered with the Copyright Office of the United States. Unauthorized use will result in prosecution. Contact pr@mediabezirgan.com to inquire licensing options. Now, Indian media outlets, and not just any media, not just any Indian media outlets, but the biggest one is involved as well, Times of Internet. They own a dozen media organizations in India with millions and millions of subscribers and viewership. They're the biggest, they're the oldest, etc. You know what I mean? They represent the country of India like this. And they have stolen my footage multiple times. What they do is they blur my logo, crop my disclaimer, put their own logo on it, and make money out of it by publishing it on their YouTube channel, on their websites, etc. This is
Times of
so
India, you said?
outrageous. Times of India, which is owned by Times of Internet. So they did this multiple times. I hired a lawyer from Texas, an excellent lawyer, to pursue action against them. And then they did it again, and I'm like, okay, you're really asking for it. So what I do is I go to YouTube and I file a copyright strike. And with the copyright strike, sorry, I'm just getting some messages. Let me silence my
For
phone.
the audio listeners, 5.45 million subscribers on the Times of India. Now, Mocha, is this the same company that when you message them to say that they've illegally used your content, they denied it, and then they still had it up on their website? Is that the same company, or was that somebody else?
You mean Times of Internet? Times of India?
Yeah. Was that what happened with
Yeah,
them?
that's yeah, it happened with them. And so I tell YouTube, I tell to YouTube, hey, these guys are stealing my video. It's my video. Here's the copyright registration from the United States Copyright Office. And basically what you need to do is if you're going to sue, you have to register your footage and you have 3 months window. You can either register, you can pay $80. It will take some time, few months, and then you'll get your registration. But if it is urgent, you need to pay like $1,000 to, same day registration.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to dish out such amounts so that I can swiftly take legal action, because once you file a copyright strike, YouTube takes the video down and tells the uploader, you have two choices. You either settle this issue with the person, with the
Yeah, the
copyright owner,
claimant.
yeah, or you say, this is a mistake. We have every right to use this video, and you sign, this statement is made under penalty of perjury, and we consent to the United States California District Court, blah 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 blah, as basically you accept jurisdiction of the United States on this matter, where
Mm-hmm.
YouTube is headquartered, which is California, Northern District Court. In any event, they basically chose that route instead of working things out with me. And my offer is like very generous, very small, but it gets like multiplied by 10 every time they are not. You know what I mean? Because by law, I can demand up to 150,000 USD per work infringed. and it's a blatant willful infringement where they cut off my logo, cut off my disclaimer, give me no credit, put their own logo on it, put it out there, and guess what? So they say this is malicious. We did not use Media Bezirgan content whatsoever in any manner whatsoever. Zero.
Now,
We did
let
not
me
use his
jump in
footage
there.
at all.
Let me jump in there. So, you said this was the same thing. I want the listeners and the viewers to know. So, when this happened, when they took your content and did this and blurred it, cropped it out, you sent this to me, and I said, I just want to see. They said they didn't use it, as you just said. I was like, I want to see if it's actually on the same link that you sent me the other day. And so I went, and while they were denying that they used your footage, they still had it up on their website. So I don't know how you get to 5.5 million subscribers or whatever by operating like this. But if you can't even go through your own back end and delete the stuff that you say that you didn't use, I don't know how that works. I don't know. Maybe that's like a second or third world thing.
Can you trust such people who are running such a media organization in such a way? Like, they probably have slave labor. They probably cut wages of their poor employees. You know what I mean?
Allegedly.
I'm saying probably if because, like, how can you treat me like this? You know, it's my footage. You're stealing it, and then you're lying to YouTube in a court document. This is a legally binding. This is a legal document where you're accepting jurisdiction and saying under the penalty of perjury. So they didn't argue fair use, which would have, made it harder for me, but they blatantly said we did not even use his video in any manner whatsoever.
That's wild.
Which is wild and untrue, because even the thumbnail is the same as my thumbnail.
So
how can
where
you
does this
lie
go from
like
here?
this? How can you lie like that? That's crazy. And in a legal document, like, you think you can get away with that? They've been getting it away. Well, they've been getting away with people like this. But I'm a kamikaze pilot. You won't get away from me. I will go crush right into you. So I dish out the money, get the registration, file the goddamn lawsuit within 10 business days, hire a lawyer, hire a paralegal, write the goddamn lawsuit, make it proper, make it comprehensive, and I'm demanding 200,000 USD from them. And I have filed it, and a very reputable judge has been assigned to the case. Same judge who has reprimanded Apple, Tim Cook's company, Apple. And I'm very excited because it's a very straightforward case. They are not arguing fair use. If they're going to argue fair use, they have to admit they have perjured themselves by saying we did not use his footage whatsoever. So I got them good. I got them.
In fairness, so they gave a legal response, an official response of that they did not use it.
Yeah.
Okay. Just so we're clear on, we have to give everybody the other side a chance to respond there. Their stance is that they did not use your footage. It will be interesting to see how that pans out. Patent pending, cases pending, all inquiries to PR@MediaBezirgan.com.
It is a fact. They have used my video. It is an undisputable fact. The material evidence is there. Yeah, they are claiming they did not use it, but they did use it. And I can tell you that they are lying. And I believe they are committing perjury, but we will let the judge decide.
We will. We always let the judges decide. This can't be the only time, right? There is other people that you've had to deal with.
I'll give you a comparison.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, is it public how somebody messaged you about it once?
Yes. Yeah, they use like intermediaries to, keep me quiet and just let it go. And I find that disgusting, and I don't tolerate that.
Tell us more about that. This was somebody messaged you. I don't remember his name. I doubt you even remember. Maybe you do.
Journalist with a large following, like 500,000 following. And I have never spoken to him before. And he has himself stolen my video before. And he's telling me, hey, our friends from Times of India, they reached out. They told me there's copyright dispute. This is not so. They did it twice, by the way, and this was about the first one where I actually get assaulted by a Khalistani. So I'm actually putting myself in harm's way to capture that footage, and they steal it. They hide my logo, and he's like, "Hey, can you like just speak it out and work this thing out?" And I'm like, like, can you get lost? You think I didn't try that? I am very reasonable. I have settled many copyright disputes for very reasonable amounts, and for very exaggerated amounts as well, where they wanted to play games. So
I thought the idea that they got some guy who's well known in India to reach
yeah,
out to you and thought that would be like they were sending like Brad Pitt to
like
contact
crazy.
you or something.
Yeah. They think I'm gonna be swayed by. Oh wow.
Yeah,
They think I'm gonna be swayed by someone with so many followers. They think, sometimes they invite me to their shows and like, I'm like, yeah, are you gonna compensate me for my time? Because it's midnight over here and I'm gonna go to sleep. Unless you're gonna pay me properly, I'm not gonna appear on your show. And they're like, oh, how about we give you, airtime? You will get exposure. I don't need your exposure. I can't pay rent with exposure. Here's a funnier one. One Indian channel reached out to me. Hey, can you be our G7 correspondent? I'm like, okay. So, and they're like, oh, by the way, it's going to be a paid gig. I'm like, oh, paid gig.
Oh.
Okay. So what is your offer? What's going to be like? And you know what guess what their offer was?
$100.
You got it right. $100? Are you kidding me? $100? I can't even go to Kananaskis and back from Calgary.
For Mocha?
Yes, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
appreciate
rest
it. You too.
So all at the same
$100.
all at the
Wait,
same
let-
time.
let me-
Go ahead.
Let me finish. It's funny. $100? I had to hire bodyguard due to threats. $100? That's not gonna cover. Like, well, how am I gonna make? So I'm like, when they're like $100, I'm like, that's per hour, right? And they're like, no, per day. I'm like, okay, I'm not interested. Thank you. Don't waste my time again, because like $100. Can you imagine? Like, what about my camera costs? The gas, the electricity in this case. How am I gonna like? I could make more money doing it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
But like they're like, sorry, that's our regular rates for foreign correspondents.
Just how it is.
So they're paying nothing to their correspondents. They're paying garbage.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. How can you? And then they're wondering why Khalistanis are strong and getting more powerful, and you know what I mean? Of course they would. They're well funded. They are well organized. They have their own media, and you know what? At least they're not stealing my footage. When they use my footage for their own propaganda, at least they don't crop out my logo. At least they have credit. Like when you have friends like people in the Indian media, you don't need enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Just
So
funny story, but
all at the same time, you've got people threatening you, people stealing your content, but also offering you jobs, all from the same place in the world. And I get that it's a big country, obviously, but it's just wild that this, like can you imagine a world where it's just like, I don't know, Malaysia or something, or Montenegro? I'm thinking of M's for some reason, and then just our whole country is involved in the politics of Montenegro, and we've got 4 million Montenegrins in our country, and the Times of Montenegro is battling with you, and then the Times of Serbia want a piece of you too. It's just insane that this has become normal to us.
yeah, absolutely.
So let me ask you something then. When you're doing all this work, how has it been, obviously we used to work at the same place. you have your past with and it's interesting. I never thought of this before, Mocha, that we've both gotten into news, but also have done like comedy videos and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
do you ever get somebody being like, or do you ever think about the fact that like sometimes you're being really really serious and other times you're completely joking? Like that's my content goes from talking about stuff like this to, I think I put out a video yesterday of me singing Oasis.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. I do make comedy videos time to time, even now. I made one about this situation of my footage being stolen. So, there is the extremist organization Six for Justice, and they put out like videos making veiled threats, arguably. And I imitated them, and instead of targeting the government of India or Indian officials, I targeted the Indian media. So I was like, on these dates, do not go to the headquarters of these Indian media companies. Your life may be in danger.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I people liked it. Even Indian people, they catch the humor. Um, and then there was one Indian media organization where they stole my video 3 times, and you know what happens when you get 3-time copyright strike?
yeah, your channel's done, right?
Yeah, your YouTube channel gets deleted. So YouTube put them on schedule and said, in 2 weeks we're gonna delete your channel if you don't settle this with him. And so they are like, first of all, this took months to get to that point where first strike they are disabled from uploading anything. Second strike, it's worse. Third strike, now it's pending deletion. And all the while I'm trying to negotiate with them. First, I ask them, pay 1,000. Let's wrap this up. They refuse. So I escalate. Pay 5,000. Let's resolve this. They refuse. So I escalate. Pay 10,000. Let's resolve this, or your channel is gonna get deleted. So they file counter notification, the legal document saying we are being extorted. And I'm like, you're not being extorted, you idiot. You're being held accountable. And so I said, okay, listen,
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 options in front of me now. I can either go file a lawsuit, which is going to cost me money, but I will get up to $150,000 for your willful infringement, or I will give you a break. You pay me $7,200, and matter will be resolved. And they agreed to $7,200, and we resolved the matter. So that was great. It might sound like a lot of money, but that footage was from New Zealand and it cost me nearly as much.
Yeah. What is the attempt at these blatant claims, if that's what they're saying? Like, how often does this come up where somebody who just completely makes something up like that, if that's what's happening?
Well, I think they don't have a understanding or a framework of copyright laws.
Mm.
Most often they are referring to Indian law in their pleadings.
Repeal, yeah.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Indian law is irrelevant. YouTube is an American company subject to American law. You know what I mean? So Indian copyright law is irrelevant. It's American copyright law that applies. And I can enforce an American judgment on them by garnishing their revenue from Google, YouTube, or any other American company. So,
Yeah, for all the bad stuff that YouTube has done, they have actually seemed to have tried for copyright.
I feel so too.
To make it better, to make it more accurate. But, they still shadow ban the shit out of people. All right, Mocha, before I let you go, I want to do something more lighthearted for Canada Day. I'm going to play you a clip from my girlfriend's favorite show. She says hello, by the way. She says you're welcome at the house anytime. This is a clip from 90 Day Fiancé. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this guy, but this is a Turkish guy. His name's Sarper. I don't know his last name, but I just I just want to play a bit for you, and I want you to think about, is this a typical Turkish man?
Okay, let's do it.
perfect. And I loved how intimate it was. There was no one else there, and it was just really special. But no, I feel like I'm gonna get emotional. Just everything changed. After
How did they change, Shekinah?
Look at all these faces.
Harper changed, our dynamic changed because now
Is this the way an average Turkish guy in his 40s dresses, Mocha?
Not really. He appears to be a wealthy gentleman.
Now, what is it with Turkey and the hair transplants, and everybody goes there for plastic surgery? How did that happen, and how long ago did that happen? That it was the international hub to get these things.
Yeah, it became the international hub fairly recently, about like 10 years ago, where because the currency has become cheaper. Sorry, the cost has become less because of the devaluation of Turkish lira, and a lot of people are coming to Turkey for not just hair transplant or silicone, but other medical matters as well, like heart transplant, brain transplant, or other stuff. It has private hospitals, really good quality healthcare, and yeah, it has become the destination for medical tourism, basically. And often these packages, you buy a package, let's say you're going to get your hair transplant, it includes the plane tickets, it includes taking you from the airport, it includes the driver, it includes the food, meals, restaurants, it includes the hotel, it includes activities, touring, etc. It's a whole package. So like, that's a great deal, and that's why I think people are preferring Turkey for this operation. For dentistry as well. In Canada, for example, dentists cost lots of money, but in Turkey you could get it for cheaper, for even better quality.
Now, something I've noticed in footage of Turkey, looks like a very nice place. There's cats all over the place that look like they're well taken care of, unlike in other countries where they may seem disgusting. Has Turkey found, do you think, like a spot where, I guess technically it's a Muslim country, but has it found like a spot where it's mostly free, or how would you rank it among like places like you'd want to live right now? Because I think Canada, obviously, a lot of people are thinking about leaving it. So where would you rank Turkey right now compared to like the United States or Japan or something?
I think I would. Okay, so a few years ago, I did not want to live in Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm grown up, and I have changed. My attitude has changed. I have realized that what you call freedom is you have to purchase it. You have to earn it. Just like Mark Carney says, people are getting mad at him. Oh, freedom, it's your birthright, etc. That's just not how it works in real life. I have seen so much corruption, so much conflicts of interest, favoritisms, etc., or people being exempt from the law. Like, you know what I mean? That's the reality here. If you have money and connections, you can live anywhere you want in the world. You can be as free as you want if you know the right people and you have the right amount of money. That's just the reality. So I would love to live in Turkey, although I have a lot of work to get done in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be in a position where I can travel back and forth every day. Fly, not every day, but every week, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And be an international, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to live everywhere.
Mocha, I think a lot of us are appreciative of what you're fighting for in this country, because there are not a lot of people doing it. I think certain people from certain companies let other, let's call them ethnic conflicts, get in the way, as opposed to just what is right for Canada. I think you know what I'm talking about when I say that. So we all appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for this delightful interview. This is the interview where I feel most comfortable. I can eat, drink, and be myself. So thank you very much for inviting me. And as last word, I would like to say my last name is Bezirgan. I would like people to go out there and check it out, what it means, and understand why I do what I do and why I do it the way I do it. Cheers. Take it away.
Okay. Unauthorized opinions. Happy Canada Day. Happy Indian Pride Day, as it has now become. Appreciate everybody watching and appreciate you, Mocha.